Look, it's quite serious. We have been going through a letter of regret, letters of people, and just, buyer's remorse, and just plain old, just tired of the same old rendition. When people get exhausted from something, they move in a different way than people can even recognize. And that has happened 100% with dealing with podcast shows. Today's podcast shows have gone to the letter of we're just trying to copy what the next podcast show is doing. And now I just want to tell my story. And everybody's got a story, right? And they want to tell it, and there's no problems in that. You want to tell your story, but it's only so long that's going to go. Some of these shows aren't built for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They don't have that kind of energy behind it. This is why Joe Budden changed his whole podcast format to add all these voices to the show. So in case one week he don't have it, he could create inner beef and all this drama on his platform, on his show, and everybody's just down for it. But in reality, when you look at the big picture, you start to see his fools go. Because the people that really matter and the people that's really putting it together to make it work, they're like never involved in the situations or the decision makings. So Rory and Maul, Maul is in trouble for his love affair with Drake and Rory, and then the female they got there, she's just as bad. But Rory just got caught out, making some egregious statements about black women when, he's got a black wife, and it's like, does he think he has a green light to say crazy things now? I'm not getting this. So, things go left. You go through the progressions, you do what you think is best, and the process normally goes right or left. It's just, what do you want to feel like wasting your time on? Drive safe. I know I feel like I'm exhausted. And I got no energy left. Hell, I'm almost close to being up 24 hours. I'm starting to get my butt home. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the subject matter because it's a real subject. Look, the majority of these guys who got podcast shows, they don't know, they don't have a real niche. They have an idea. They don't understand the process of doing a show. They don't understand what energy it takes to make and create a show. So definitely hit the like button right now because, this is very important. This is what all podcasters need to hear. This is he said my podcast ain't failing though. I don't know who the hell that guy is. But if this is who I think it is, then you don't have a podcast show, remember? You have a show. That's what you told me. Thanks for the $2 super chat. If you want a cash app, the name is Carcino on the cash app. No problem. And definitely you have a situation on your hands that you can't deal with. it's all about narratives, and it's all about the realms of who you like and what you like. That's what the whole gist of it is. Look, the podcast space have all these guys talking about the same subject, right? And most of them are not even podcasts. It's just really themselves talking. That what you call a podcast? I don't know. But as I tried to state to people beforehand, it's just different out here. And when people try to be different and they want to be indifferent to everything that you say, they must have an agenda. And then the agenda does not always favor you. You got to remember that. When you do everything that you do and you put your best foot forward and you start saying, like, damn, I put my best foot forward. Like, what did I do wrong? I did everything right. It's just that the interest of the general public, you got to start changing and getting younger and doing more younger active things to keep your seasons going on your shows. If not, you'll get crushed. Yeah, man, it was often a difficult situation to get people to do things back in those days. But podcasts by active players, that would have really ruined it. You're basically violating the terms of the sanctity of the locker room. You would never hear Joe Bars talk about the things he went through with the Detroit Pistons and things he saw in the locker room. Guys just didn't do that. But now everybody's got a podcast show. Like they're required to talk about it. This was at the height of Draymond's, punching out in, Andrew Poole. You punch him. Well, no, they didn't find out who leaked the footage. They think they know, but they don't know. Because there's footage they never gonna release that stays in the White House vault of the threat match matrix. So only the president can see that. you couldn't do that back in those days. It was different. But the podcast show definitely changed. Changed a lot of people. Well, everybody wants to get back to civilization. But at what cost, you're going to be exhausted. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I think Michael Jackson is a distraction for the king of pop. Wow. They want to edit him and send him out to pasture. Bad acting. Who's bad acting? Now, like I said, podcast shows are dying out and the people are exhausted from them. They don't really want anything to do with them, so that don't have anything to do with me or anybody else. It's how the company feels, the brand marketing, and Kwame, or not Kwame Brown, but Kwame Brown and Steph Curry want to play for the Wizards. They gotta show me something in the offseason with Julia Johnson. But you just don't want somebody to be in there that's gonna mess things up. And if you've been used to playing with a bunch of guys that's not young like you, it's gonna be a scary sight to see. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't kill the little infant deer when I had the right of way to take that little deer out. Mm-hmm. Sleeping and driving fast. Well, that's one way of looking at it. It doesn't hurt anymore when you walk through the door. I forget every word that you said, and I won't let you down when no one else is around. And when you're gone, you're getting replaced. No, they don't want the smoke. I'm seeing and fighting it. Oh my God, man, that's my arm. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's my arm. That hurts. I'm gonna just have to get arm surgery. I guess I made it with all my fucking it. All right, guys, I fought it. I fought it and survived. Now, what's the narrative? The narrative is this: podcast shows are dying out, and there is no escape. Talk to you later.